Professor Kathleen Ngila, we're very happy to have you here with us. We just wanted to ask you a few questions about your strategic vision and continental leadership in the context of the African Planet Prize.
Right. So the Planet Prize, the African Planet Prize is actually anchored on environmental and particularly climate change. Mm-hmm. And if you look at some of the tenets and the factors that do sort of talk to what we call the planet boundaries, mm-hmm. We are looking at basically climate change, which is caused by so many things, including the pollution. We are causing a lot of pollution as humanity. And as a result of, and then we have got also elements such as the acid rain, but this is in situations where we have got very, very intense pollution. Mm-hmm. We also look at maybe contamination of our water systems, and these are all areas and effects, so that the planet boundaries are talking to. Mm-hmm. So the African Academy of Sciences, if you look at some of the thematic areas mm-hmm. of the African Academy of Sciences, in fact, climate change is one of those areas that we have really been focused on mm-hmm. in terms of our scientists, research by our scientists. Mm-hmm. That is one of them, and also we currently have a program with the European Commission, mm-hmm. Which is a partnership between the European Commission and the African Union. Mm-hmm. And some of the thematic areas that our scientists, the grantees that are funded through the African Academy of Sciences are mm-hmm. looking at areas such as energy transitions, mm-hmm. Areas such as universal health, food security, mm-hmm. And climate change is always cutting across. Mm-hmm. So as a result of that, this particular area, mm-hmm. and more so the Planet Prize theme, mm-hmm. Talks very closely to the African Academy's sciences of research, what mm-hmm. we do, mm-hmm. but also our focus, and also in terms of the partnership and the current projects that we are running. So you can see from all the things that I've said that mm-hmm. The African Planet Prize sits very in a way strategic, mm-hmm. And to engage in a wider sort of sense mm-hmm. With regard to some of the issues that are being addressed by globally and mm-hmm. also specifically by the climate change.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. So your answer is actually very broad. It feeds into the next question which I was going to ask you. Right. And I think you even captured one of the pillars. So I wanted to understand how the African Planet Prize aligns with the 4 strategic pillars of the Academy. You've already talked about one, I think, the capacity building aspect.
Yes.
So maybe what were the other 3?
So we have got capacity building, and more so, yes. Sorry about that. Yeah, no, thank you very much, Louise, for that question. So there are 4, or even you could call them 5 areas, mm-hmm. strategic pillars of the African Academy of Sciences. Mm-hmm. You are right, one of them is looking at early career research mm-hmm. and developing early career researchers to establish researchers. In fact, most of the projects right now that we are running in the African Academy of Sciences is all about capacity building. Mm-hmm. Trying to bring the early career researchers to a level whereby they can be well established and also, independent mm-hmm. researchers. Mm-hmm. Now, another area of the African Academy of Sciences looks at entrepreneurship, mm-hmm. innovation and entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. So the research that we are doing in the African Academy of Sciences, particularly the researchers that we fund, and also the fellows of the mm-hmm. African Academy of Sciences, the affiliates of the African Academy of Sciences, we ask ourselves, what is research for? Mm-hmm. So if we cannot get innovation from the work that we do, so in a way it will just become an academic exercise. But when you think about innovation, and that innovation maybe can translate to commercialization, mm-hmm. then now entrepreneurship comes in. So that is one area, another area, but also the African Academy of Sciences looks at what are the gaps. So we partner with the African Union Commission, closely with the AUDA-NEPA, that is the African Union Development Agency, mm-hmm. New Partnership for Development. And this, our partnership is looking at identifying the gaps. As you know, AUDA NEPAD is the agent that implements the African Union agenda for science, technology, and innovation. That is what we call the STISA. That is science, technology, innovation. Currently, we are looking at 2034. And so we look at the gaps. What are some of the gaps that, in the continent, that is, that we are seeing been identified by researchers across, not necessarily in the African Academy of Sciences, but also continentally. Of course, we are aligning ourselves with Agenda 2063, which is basically very much aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And the first 3 or 4 are surely talking to poverty, should I say, elimination of poverty, things like elimination of hunger. We are looking at health, universal health. We are also looking at education. We are looking at clean water. We are looking at equality, gender equality, and so forth and so on. So, and education, very, very, very key for the United Nations Development Goals, which are also aligned with the African Union 2063. Many other areas that we also look at is in the African Academy of Sciences is definitely we provide the think tank functions, and in fact that is one of our mandates, because we've got 3 mandates, one of them being the think tank function of the African Academy of Sciences with regard to providing leadership in the continent, but also partnering with our continental partners, like I've already said, AUDA NEPAD. We also are looking at recognition. We recognize excellence. We award affiliates. We give them awards for the kind of work that they are doing. But we also, that is also the basis of the nomination and election of the fellows, because that is identification of who are the top scientists, academicians on the continent. And of course, we are talking about the implementation itself. We are implementing the STI agenda for Africa through, of course, our expertise, because the African Academy of Sciences has got close to 700 members. And these are all established researchers in their own rights, in partnership with other global actors, and so forth and so on. So holistically, so you can be able to understand our pillars, but also our mandate as an academy, which is anchored in Africa.
Okay, so that's quite a broad mandate. How would you say it aligns to the African Planet Prize?
Right. All these things are talking to the African Planet Prize in that, you see, when we talk about climate change, what are we saying about climate change? Climate change is affecting all aspects of our lives. It is affecting water access, it's affecting energy, it is affecting education also, because if you look at some community, poverty is a problem. They cannot afford to send their children to school. So our United Nations goals cannot be implemented. And so in a way, directly and also indirectly, climate change is affecting. But also, of course, that is what the Planet Prize and also in terms of the planet boundaries are talking to. So you can see how climate change is affecting all parts of our life, all aspects of our lives, either directly or indirectly.
That feeds into, the next question I wanted to ask you about Africa's future and understanding the planet's environmental limits. Okay. So why would you say that this is important for Africa's future, given what you just explained about the AS mandate and the prize and how it touches on that?
Yes. Africa's future, if you look at the African Union Agenda 2063, it is all about prosperity. We should all have access, we should all be educated, nobody should be left behind. We must also think about industrialization, that we should be having industries, that are groomed and grown in Africa, in the Africa continent. So when you think about it holistically, then you do realize that the Africa future, we want to move forward in terms of technology. We need to be able to move forward in terms of universal access to education, to health, to food, poverty alleviations, and all that. So all these are things that affect, of course, smart cities, as you know, as we talk about, because of course industrialization will lead to other sort of, should I say, adverse effects. Like, for example, you can say industrialization and also the ozone layer depletion, industrial pollution, and so forth and so on. Those are the negatives of that. But of course, the negatives and positives go hand in hand. It is just a question of coming up with strategies, innovation, to see how we can mitigate the negatives of our development in terms of industrialization. So the Africa future, it is looking bright, and I can say that because of the fact that if you look at more than, I think more than 60% of our youth are below the age of 35. And so therefore, you can say Africa is the continent that has got the youngest population. And so skills development, aligning skills and the right skills fit for our youth is very, very important. And so the future of the African continent is bright. But the governments, the member states of African Union must work harder to ensure that they give the right skills to the youth, because this is the youth for the future, and the youth are supposed to be more or less addressing some of these issues that we are talking about. The youth is the future for us in terms of how are we going to address poverty alleviation, for example. The youth are the future, looking at innovation through research, science, technology, and innovation. Africa is bright, as a bright future, but we have to work very hard today for a bright tomorrow.
That's a very comprehensive answer.
Thank you.
As we are thinking about Africa's future,
Yes.
I also want to try to bring in the role of African science in that.
Yes.
So could you tell us how you think the global recognition that we gained through, for example, the Frontiers Planet Prize helps strengthen African science to advance our future as a continent?
No, thank you, Louise, again for that question. It all comes together, and in fact it is all interconnected. So if you look at our recognition, particularly the African Academy of Science recognition, but also by extension the African continent, it is very, very important, because if you look at the Sustainable Development Goal number 17, partnerships. But how are you going to partner when you have nothing to offer? For us to be partners, there's something you're bringing to the table, there's something I'm bringing to the table. So for us, we have to, as Africa, we have to work hard to ensure that we are at par with the global north and also with the other global south players. It is very, very important for Africa to think forward, work hard towards the forward, and also the unity that we talk about, the unity in Africa. Africa should also be, and also let me again tie up with the African Planet Prize. This recognition in itself shows that we can be able to move towards the science frontiers. We have got the Global Planet Prize. So the African Planet Prize is more or less, in mathematics we would call it a subset of the Global Planet Prize. So if we can be able to show that for Africa, researchers who are being recognized through the African Planet Prize, they can also be able to compete competitively and so equally with the rest of the world, then Africa is moving forward in that particular direction. And so I see that the African Planet Prize as a stepping stone towards global recognition, because these awardees, the people who are recently, the young researchers who are recently recognized, it gives them that sense of achievement to some extent, and now they can leap forward to the next stage where they can also be able to tackle even bigger challenges.
That's a really good answer.
Thank you.
At least it will allow us to address some of these things that Africa faces by incorporating African science into the mixture.
African, yes, that is correct.
So could you tell us what your potential long-term vision is for the African Planet Prize within the Academy's continental mandate?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the way I see it is that recently we awarded 3 young researchers, and I'm actually personally, and I'm sure that is also the vision for the Academy, is that we want to see more researchers being recognized. We also need to partner so that we can increase the number of researchers that are getting this award, because we only gave about 3.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that this year, that was last year, I'm hoping this year and then the years to come, we can increase the number. Because the more we recognize more people, the more we open up and sort of like having critical mass of people who are thinking about the climate change, people are thinking about prosperity strategically in terms of looking at the innovations that can be able to go towards addressing the planet boundaries effects. So therefore, and also tying to the African Academy of Sciences, of course it also gives the African Academy of Sciences an edge, in that we are looking at more partners coming to the table. We are looking at your SDG 17 being effectively implemented in this particular field, and so therefore we expand and we grow bigger, and sort of like more or less selling the Academy and also the good work that the Academy does to the world. So I feel that the African Planet Prize is just one of those elements, or should I say attributes, that we can be able to use as the African Academy of Sciences to showcase what else we can do as a continental academy, and also addressing not just a continental but also global challenges.
So from what you're saying, the Academy plays a very key role.
Absolutely,
in this whole process.
You put it quite right. Yes, that is correct.
Now I'd like to move to something where we talk about just the learning outcomes of this, specifically looking at mentorship.
Yes.
There seems to be a shortage of senior mentors to guide young scientists, particularly in Africa, through the rigorous international processes that are required for some of these prizes. Now, as the CEO of the African Foundation for Women and Youth in SDI, I'm sure you play a very big role in mentoring a lot of young people. You said Africa is a continent of young people, right?
Yes.
So I guess what are your recommendations to bridge this kind of gap in mentorship as far as bringing in more senior scientists to mentor the younger generations of scientists coming up in Africa?
Right. No, thank you, Louise. As you rightly said, currently I'm acting the Executive Director of the African Academy of Sciences, but my sort of other aspects, or should I pull it, interests that I have, long-term interest that I have, is always mentorship. Mentorship of the early career researchers, mentorship of youth, mentorship of women. I've said youth, of obviously looking at Africa and the population, the largest population percentage of the African population, that is actually youth. And so therefore mentorship of youth, this youth is very, very important. In science, technology and innovation, very important, because we need science and technology and innovation to address global challenges, obviously. If I look at, as a good example, COVID-19 came, and everybody was running around in Africa and also other parts of the world, trying to find out how to figure out how we're going to get vaccine, how we're going to manufacture. So science, technology addresses all this, and if we are prepared to face global challenges, as an example, the COVID example I've given, and of course the challenges of also climate impact, then we are moving in the right place. Now, I also mentioned women. We know, and I think majority of us do know, that women face a lot of challenges, particularly women in science. They face a lot of challenges because we have to multitask in so many ways. We are mothers, we are wives, we are also community players, and yet we also must be our established researchers. This is one person who has to address all these roles And so therefore supporting women in a nurturing way is very, very important. In fact, I sit in the committee for UNESCO. We call it the UNESCO International Consultative Group. And this group is addressing, or should I say supporting, a program by UNESCO called Call for Action, Closing the Gender Gap. Now, UNESCO identified 3 pillars. One of the pillars in terms of closing the gender gap in science, one of the pillars is stereotypes. So stereotypes telling the girls that you cannot do mathematics. Mathematics is for boys. Oh, physics, no, physics, leave that one. Engineering, don't even go there. No, we are really not, we are doing disservice to the young girls. So therefore, when we showcase all these role models, scientists, engineers who are well established, then we are encouraging the young girl that they can do whatever career they want. Another pillar is looking at different careers, career pathways for girls. To say that I think traditionally, we only used to think about being a doctor, being an engineer, and I don't know what else was available during my time. But today, we are saying that data scientist, we are saying biotechnologist. But do these young girls understand that the world has opened different areas in which they can be able to pursue for their careers? So career pathways is very, very important. And the third one that UNESCO has identified is that already the women who are working in the STEM field, that is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, have got a lot of challenges. I always like to give an example. Once upon a time, I worked for oil and a petroleum company, and we had an engineer, an electrical engineer, who, because she found herself the only engineer in the whole establishment, and she got very intimidated by the male counterparts, and so she decided to move away from engineering, and she moved away, to other, should I call them softer areas, environmental, pollution, and so forth and so on. It's not really like it is not important. What I'm trying to say is this, that if we had a critical mass of women who were engineers, then such a woman would have stayed, she would have continued with her career in engineering. And so therefore, my foundation, which I do as when I'm not in the academy, this is what I do, is actually to promote and also to uphold and to enhance and to support the UNESCO call for these particular 3 pillars that we are addressing. Also, of course, supporting the youth, supporting the girl child, but also the boy child. Because, we do not want to leave any gender behind. We want everybody to pull in the same direction towards science, technology, innovation. So my foundation and also the African Academy of Sciences, we also have a program called mentorship program, which I also participate as a mentor. And we mentor early career researchers, whether it is women or men. We are mentoring all this. So mentorship for me is very, very key, and I'm very passionate about it, because I feel you are holding the hand of this young girl, of this young boy, of this lady who is struggling to balance her lifestyle because of the so many things that she's confronted. Supporting them is the best way to ensure that they can now feel secure and confident that they can move forward. So mentorship for me is very, very important. Exposure is very, very important, and partnership of all, both men and women. We should all be able to support the youth in terms of mentorship and also exposure to different opportunities.
That is really good. I feel like our young people are in very good hands, going by.
Yes,
by
thank you. I'm glad you feel like that. Yes, indeed. Yes.
So
but of course, we need the critical mass. We need a critical mass of more mentors who can be able to support as many youth as we can manage to do.
Definitely. Yes. So to close, any parting shots that you'd like to give us?
Well, I am very grateful first and foremost that you have given me this opportunity as the Interim Executive Director of the African Academy of Sciences. Obviously, charity starts at home, and so therefore it was very, very important for me to talk about what we do at the Academy, but also to think about and also talk about the global and the bigger picture in terms of what Africa is doing, where Africa is going, how Africa is going to catch up with the rest of the world, particularly the global north. And so I'm very, very grateful for this interview, and because it also opens my mind into many other things. I'm sure after this interview I'm going to start thinking of, oh, okay, what else do I need to do? And so I'm very, very grateful for that. And I hope that this interview is going also to touch people's lives, those who probably will get a chance to listen to some of the discussions that we have had.
Yeah, I am 100% sure that it will.
Yes.
We are so happy to have you here with us,
Yes,
Professor Ngila.
Yes.
Thank you so much for making time out of your busy schedule. I know you are a woman of great and many things.
Thank you.
So we're really
so much,
happy
Liz.
to have had you here to get your insights on how to improve, on the prize, on mentorship. Our young people are going to be all smiles when they hear all the
but also
insights you've
to make
given
a
us.
call to other partners,
Yes.
other partners to come to the table and support through the funding, through the grants, support more young people to participate in the African Planet Prize.
Yeah, 100%
Thank you.
agree with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you
and
so
for
much.
this interview.
I really
Professor Ngila.
appreciate. Thank you so much, and also the team. Thank you.